Jeremiah chapter 30 in Jacob's trouble. Giving all praise to Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. I did a video the other day, GMS in transit, thinking out loud. And I said I would, I kind of said a few words on Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. And I don't remember if I did an actual full breakdown of Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. I know about a year ago, when we was on the highways and the byways, I had went through with the other apostles and the elders. I had went through Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. I did the whole breakdown, because we normally go to Jeremiah 30 verse 16 and sometimes Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Now in Jeremiah 30 verse 7 it speaks about the it actually mentions the time of Jacob's trouble. So now if you read from the first verse, you read the whole chapter, the first verse to the seventh verse, on down, you would see it's talking about this time period right now. You know, Jacob's trouble is not talking about when we were in hard bondage under the Egyptians. Now we were troubled, but that's not Jacob's trouble. When the Babylonians took us down, when the Assyrians took us down, when we went through these different captivities, when during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, during the time of the Roman Empire, it says in Matthew's the 11th chapter, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, which is a Jacob's trouble, but it's not the Jacob's trouble. There's going to be one time identified as Jacob's trouble, and that's when we're going to be delivered. Jacob's trouble is also in Daniel the 12th chapter in the first couple of verses. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to read it. This is a short chapter, 24 verses long. So it's a pretty fast read, and whatever precepts come to mind, I'll go to them. So I'm going to start from the first verse. It says, the word that came to Jeremiah or Jeremiah from Yahawah, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord Yahawah, YAHAWAH, Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. And this was for Jeremiah. Jeremiah, if you look him up, he was an Israelite, and he was not just an Israelite, he was a prophet. And he was the youngest prophet among all the prophets. Actually, they don't tell you the age. If they do, somebody put it in the comment section, but he was actually a boy. The Most High dealt with him before puberty, so he was literally a boy. It says, for lo, the days come, saith Yahawah, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord. Now, you have scholars that will say, well, that's talking about them being free from the Babylonian Empire. When Darius put the order out to kill the king of Babylon and the rebuilding it. No, it's not talking about that. It's talking about now, because it mentions Judah, Israel, and Judah. When the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah come back together. So this third verse is referring to this time period. Jacob's trouble and the destruction will come in this time. It said, for third verse again, for lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. That has yet to happen. Although you got these so-called Jews, these Amalekites, these Edomites, saying that they fulfilled that. No, they didn't. How do we know that they didn't fulfill this prophecy? Because where's the kingdom of Israel? Where's Benjamin? Where's Levi? Where's Gad? Where's Reuben? Where's Issachar? Where's Asher? Where's Ephraim? Simeon? Naphtali? Where are the rest of the tribes? So we know that these people in the land of Israel that claim to be the people of the Lord, well, they're not fulfilling any prophecy, because all the tribes in the two kingdoms will have to come back together. That's why in Ezekiel 37 chapter, one of my favorite chapters, it's around about the 16th verse, well, starting at the 16th verse, it speaks about the two sticks, one stick, and that Hebrew word there is plank, for Judah and his companion, Benjamin and Levi, and another stick for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim. Joseph is interchangeable with the tribe Ephraim, and his companion, that's Asher, Gad, Reuben, and the rest of the tribes of the kingdom of Israel. Now, mind you, that some of the tribes from the northern kingdom went back to dwell among the kingdom of Judah. So that's why you have people in West Africa, Nigeria, and that region that identify themselves with the tribe of Ephraim, or with the tribe of Gad, or with the tribe of Manasseh, because some of those tribes went back with the kingdom of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It says, 4th verse, and these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. So we know that this verse is not talking about back then. This verse is not talking about 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago. It said, for thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Sixth verse. Ask we now, and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail? That's the hell that we're going through. And all faces are turned into paleness. When you get sick, you look pale. Not white like the so-called white man. 7th verse, Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. So what has to happen for the fulfillment of Jacob's trouble to come to pass? These tribes got to come together. Isaiah the 11th chapter. Isaiah the 14th chapter, the first couple of verses. But he shall be saved out of it. And the saved part is talking about being delivered by way of the Lord and the angels in the chariots of Israel. 8th verse. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck. Now, in hardcore slavery was shackled up. We had wooden and iron yokes upon our neck so we wouldn't escape. So now we're bound by these adhesion contracts, which I spoke about in the previous video, a GMS in Transit Thinking Out Loud video. You know, when you get a Social Security, your birth certificate, your Social Security card, your driver's license, your whatever credit cards, you gotta fill out applications which are nothing but contracts, which bound you to this system. See, if you never sign any of these contracts, these adhesion contracts, these applications, Esau can't do nothing to you. But we are bound by these contracts. So it's no longer the iron yoke around your neck, the shackles. And from time to time, if they got to lock you up, they will put shackles on you. And when our kingdom is established, it tells you in our Psalms 149, we should all be familiar with that precept. It speaks about the super rich being shackled up. And they are going to be physically shackled up. And they are going to be physically enslaved. So we're going back to the ancient world. Eighth verse. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahawah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds. Now, if you get a chance, you look up the word bonds. Let me look at it real quick. Mawasar, band, bond. It says bonds, specially used of the bonds of a yoke, often metaphorically. So we have metaphoric bonds on us through the various adhesion contracts. Now I give you some precepts. I give you Psalms 2 verse 3, Psalms 107 verse 14, Psalms 116 verse 16, Isaiah 28 verse 22, Isaiah 52 verse 2, Jeremiah 5 verse 5, Jeremiah 27 verse 2. Now what I want to do real quick, let's go to Psalms 2. Okay, it says, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Bands meaning bonds. I'll take the word bond and go into the Google and get the general definition. It says bond definition. What is a bond? A bond is a fixed income instrument that represents a loan made by an investor. And that's who we are. They invested in us. The America became great through slavery. It says to a borrower. Okay, let me see what Merriam-Webster dictionary says. Something that binds. The condition of being held together. The glue forms a strong bond, a force or influence that brings or holds Okay, there's a lot here on bond. Okay, something that binds or restrains. A band or cord used to tie something. And they tie this to the system. Bear with me for a minute. Let's see. Okay, it says finance. An interest-bearing certificate or public or private indebtedness. An interest-bearing certificate. So what are the certificates that bind us to this man? Your birth certificate, your social security number, your driver's license, your library card, whatever, your Visa, your MasterCard, your job application, your W-2 forms. This is what binds you to the system because you contracted with this man. An insurance agreement pledging that one will become legally liable for financial loss caused to another by the act of default of a third person or by some contingency over which the third person may have no control. Now, these Jake's getting shot at by cops. Esau's bringing them into justice, and they're getting a lot of money for Jake because Esau is losing money at the hands of these cops because Jake is pretty much a property, but whereby, like the slave master, right? If you had a good slave and the slave got sick and died, or the slave got sick, the slave master would do everything in his power to make him well so he can keep working for him. So, I mean, you can continue to read that. So it's no longer we're shackled in some slave quarter, eating what the master give us. And we got to get up at a certain morning. They shackle us up. They get the taskmasters. No, what you have is legal taskmasters, and you're bound by the contract. This is a little longer than I wanted it to be, but that's good. So let's read Jeremiah 30 verse 7 and 8 again. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble. Now, we're not going to have to, what's the term I want to use? I can't remember the term, but it's to take away your signature, revoke your signature. We don't have to take these contracts and revoke our names from these signatures. When the Lord come and the angels come back, they're going to physically beam us up, destroy the rest of the 2/3 in America, and destroy Esau. So all that paperwork that they have, that's going to be null and void. And we're going to be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye at the last trump, pursuant to 1 Corinthians 15. If not 2 Corinthians, I believe it's 1 Corinthians 15, around about the 50th verse. So there's going to be a dramatic change. All hell is going to break loose. Babylon will be utterly destroyed, and we will be superhuman, extraterrestrial, angelic beings with power far beyond Esau. And we're gonna shackle them up the old-fashioned way. This is why they demonize us, because they know their future. The elite know their future. 8th verse again. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahawah of hosts, that I will break his yoke, both physical yoke. You being in the prison system is a physical yoke. From off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds. That includes your paper agreements, your adhesion contracts. Now, somebody asked me in the previous video, could I go more into adhesion contracts? Well, adhesion contracts just merely means a contract, an application, which is nothing but a contract, because you sign your name and then you promise to do whatever. Like if you go to the DMV, it tells you people that sign it, they just sign it, fill out the information and sign a contract, and they don't, at the end it says, you hereby agree to follow all the laws that's in the DMV, I'm sorry, in New York it's VTL, Vehicle and Traffic Law, and every state has one. And they tell you in these vehicle and traffic laws that there's a difference between, that's a thick book, there's a difference between commercial traffic. There's a difference between commercially owning a vehicle and personally owning a vehicle. Commercially owning a vehicle meaning you own it because you have a corporation, you have a fleet of cars. Personal meaning you're doing business as a sole proprietor. But it says that which makes it a contract. You hereby agree by signing your name that you agree to all the laws, codes, ordinances of the VTL, Vehicle and Traffic Law. So when you get your license, okay, you took the test, you got the license, you go through a red light, a revenue officer pulls you over because he's doing it for revenue. He's really a revenue officer. They're not going to lock you up if you pay. You go to court. The officer proves that you went through the red light. You got to pay the court costs, and you pay it, and you don't go to jail. Now, if you don't pay it, you can't go to jail, because really what they want out of you is the money. See, Esau makes billions and billions of dollars off of Jake. And most of you niggas are happy with that. You're happy being Esau's slave. You're so happy to the point where you don't even know that this is Esau. And you don't even know that you're an Israelite. That's why if a Jake can't get it, fuck him. Cole, fuck him. Because the Most High is going to destroy them any goddamn way. I'm in the middle of 8, and will burst thy bonds. And that bonds is talking about being shackled up or yoked around your neck, and or paper bonds. If you ever get locked up and somebody's going to bond you out, they pay whether it's 10%, 20% of the bail that the court issues. And you give them the money, and what they do is they give you a whole stack of contracts to sign. And that's how they got you. That's why they can catch you. That's why they can go, a bondsman, bail bondsman can go out of state because they have jurisdiction over you based upon a contract. So if you go to Mexico, they can go down to Mexico and get you, where police can't do that. And they're part of this setup with the court system. See, Esau, one thing about Esau, if you've been in this system, he does do everything in order. So him charging you X amount of money for going through a red light, well, guess what? You signed the contract. But obviously you didn't know the contract, so it was a fraud anyway. James, the 5th chapter, 9th verse. But they shall serve Yahawah their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Because you're not going to serve Esau anymore. You're going to serve the Most High. And the physical David. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahawah. Neither be dismayed, O Yashar'Allah, for lo, I will save thee from afar. And we are on the other side of the world. We're in the Americas and around the world. But the key place that we're going to be delivered is from where? Out of America. Where did this truth spring from? America. It said, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest. That's the kingdom. And be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. Because we're gonna be in the power seat. We're gonna be the superhuman, extraterrestrial, angelic beings over we're gonna be different. You're gonna see a person walk down the street, you're gonna know it's a heathen or an Israelite, because they're gonna have a glow about them. We're gonna look different. And we will all be spiritual, even our women, our children. We will have spiritual power. Did not YAHAWASHI have spiritual power when he was a child? Why do you think his mother bothered him about turning water into wine? Because he was performing miracles when he was a child. He discovered the fact that he had a special gift, and that he was the Messiah. You got to watch that movie Brightburn, because when the boy in Brightburn, which was supposed to be Superman, the thing that was in that ship that was in the barn communicated with him when he was 12 years old. That's when he had an attraction to little girls that was his age, 12 years old, because that's when a man becomes a man. That's when puberty comes in to play, both with men, with boys and girls. When do you become an adult? When puberty hits him. Puberty changes you from a boy to a man. Puberty changes a girl from a girl to a woman. So you got these brothers in these other camps getting all emotional. Back in the ancient world, you had women that were with older men at the age of 12, 13, 14 years old. I remember my sisters, they were active with them boys around there in the hood or whatever when they was 12, 13 years old. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, both my sisters were pregnant at 14. So when were they engaging in sex? When they were 13. Verse 11, Jeremiah 30, verse 11. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. And we were literally scattered. You got the ISUPK saying, oh, them people in Africa, you a Hamite. Where you from, brother? I'm from Ghana. You a Hamite. Where you from, brother? I'm from Nigeria. You a Hamite. No, you had Israelites. What part of Africa is great? The western part, or the western coast of Africa. Why? Because there's Israelites down there. You got Hamites mingle with them. You got Nigerians, West Africans taking all the titles at the UFC. You got 3 current title holders of the UFC, which are so-called Hamites. You got one from Cameroon, which is Ngannou, and he's a heavyweight champ. You have Kumar, which he's Nigerian. He's a world champ at 170. And at 185, you got Israel Adesanya, which Israel is his first name. And them 3 dudes are Israelites. It said, I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. The Most High did scatter us, but he wasn't going to destroy us. And we're in so many places around the planet that we look like everybody on the planet. You got Israelites looking like Jake. You got Israelites looking like Moab. Like these Muay Thai fighters, I be watching them. Them are nothing but Negroes, man. Matter of fact, they call them Negritos, which means little Negroes, little blacks. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. Aren't we being corrected in measure? Little by little, you growing into this thing. Verse. For thus saith Yahweh, the Most High, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. 13 verse. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Bound up meaning receive medicine to heal yourself. But what's the medicine that's healing you? This truth. The fact that you listen to the videos, watch the videos, and wake up to the fact that you're Israel. Then you start reading the scriptures. Then you start keeping the laws. Then you start growing your beard. Then your women act a different way. Then you start keeping the high holy days, the Sabbath. If you was eating pork, you stop eating pork. That's the bound. That's the thing that's going to heal you. It says, thou hast no healing medicine. The healing medicine is this truth. And what's ironic, when you come into this truth, and tell me I'm lying, before you came into this truth, you were eating all kind of junk. When you came to this truth, you started exercising, you started taking herbs, you started getting into the herbs. You know, me myself, I drink a lot of green smoothies and juices like pomegranate juice, which is great for your body, for the circulation. Tart cherry juice, which is great for the circulation. What else? Beet juice. You look, ain't no Israelite got no business drinking a goddamn Coke or soda or anything like that. Now, you might have a little taste for some junk, but you shouldn't be drinking no goddamn soda. You might as well be smoking a pack of Newports. 14 verse, Jeremiah 30 verse 14. It says, all thy lovers have forgotten thee, they seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. In other words, these nations don't respect you because they don't look at you as being an Israelite. You're just a nigger. You're just an Indian on a reservation. You're just a spit. For the multitude of thine iniquities, because thy sins are increased. That's why you use a thing called charity, where you help brotherhood and you help people, man. Because it says charity covers a multitude of sin. Because the Most High knows your heart. Why criest thou for thine afflictions? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquities. These J's getting shot in the back by cops. The reason why that's happening, first of all, you got to understand that Esau is a whipping stick of the Most High. So when they get shot, they're getting shot by the Most High's instrument. So if you're going to get mad at anybody, get mad at the Most High. You go ahead and get mad at the Most High. And the Most High going to throw the law right in your face, nigga. You having sex with your man behind his back, and then you the same nigga that gets shot up by the cops, and they say, oh, how good this boy was. He was a good boy. He took care of his kid. No, you wasn't. You were popping your boy's woman, nigga. And I grew up around Jake. Jake is nothing but wicked. That's a topic right there for you, Apostle Ramlob. Jake is nothing but wicked. Because thy sins were increased. And you don't think about the motherfucking fact that you don't realize the consequences of what you do. You get all mad at the damn cop for shooting you back. Won't you think about the Most High? Won't you think about what sin you committed for the cop to blow you away like that? What sin or sins did you commit for the cop to put his knee on your neck for 9+ minutes? And you screaming for mama. And mama's in the spirit world. The rest of 15. I have done these things unto thee. I, the Most High. You get shot in the back, you get a knee on your neck, you get choked out, you get beat down by the police, you get Rodney King. Who was in the spirit of them cops that Rodney King? The Most High. It says, I have done these things unto thee. What did the Lord do? He put the spirit on these devils to do what they do. Most High telling them cops in the spiritual realm, do what you do, soldier. Do what you do. That's this man's job. That's this man's job. To wreak havoc. And you don't understand that, man. As this derelict came up to us many years ago in the camp, he said, get right with God, get right with God. And he was right. You niggas are not right. 16 verse, therefore all they that devour thee shall be. So ultimately, that's the payback. See, Esau being the whipping stick of the Most High, don't realize that we're going to get him back. Payback is a bitch. 16 verse, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, enemies, every one of them. We always say every last one of them, every one of them shall go into captivity, going into slavery. Vocab. You better hope like hell you're not an Edomite. It said everyone, all of your enemies, all of your adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that preyed upon thee will I give for a prey. Payback is a bitch. 17 verse, for I will restore. That's reparations. True reparations is to take the person that put you into slavery and put them into slavery. You can't restore nothing with a check. It said, for I will restore health unto thee, and will heal thee of thy wounds, saith Yahawah. Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Because they called thee an outcast, right? And you are outcast. The reason why they don't recognize you as being Israelite, because you wasn't in Israel. You was in slavery in America, and you was around the world talking about you Israelites, saying, this is Zion whom no man seeketh after. '18 verse, thus saith Yahawah, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places. The Most High is going to start dealing with us as a father, a loving father deals with their loving children. And the city shall be built upon her own heap. Whose heap? Let me look up that word heap. I know what it means, but I want to see what it means biblically. It's giving me problems coming up. Okay, heap. The word for heap is thal. The root is thalal. It means mound, heap of ruins. What is the heap of ruins? America. But we're not going to build on America. It's the other places. Israel, our homeland, is going to be a heap, but it's going to be built back again. America is going to be the largest desert on the planet. And whatever other places on the earth that were destroyed, that were in heaps, they're going to be built back up. Israel's going to be built back up. Lebanon's going to be built back up. And I did a video on Ophir, and the word Ophir is America. When it speaks about the fine gold of Ophir, it's talking about when King Solomon had the navy, the Canaanites go back and forth to the Americas, and that place was called Ophir. Now, when you look up the word Ophir in the Hebrew, the word means, what does it mean? It means ashes. You know what I got to do? I got to Well, you know what? I'll put it in the, somebody could put in the comment section. It means ashes or go to ashes or something to that effect. Because I was going through it in the other video. So our kingdom is going to be built upon the ashes of Esau's kingdom. So this kingdom is going to play out on the planet Earth. It says, in the city, I'm still in the 18th verse, and the city shall be built upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. So Esau's kingdom was here on this earth. Our kingdom is going to be here on this earth. 19th verse. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry. Because we're going to be happy. Will Esau be happy? Oh no. Oh no. You're not going to have one happy. Esau will not smile or laugh. Esau will cry. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. The Israelites shall not be few. Hebrews 1, verse 10 and 11. I will also glorify them, the Israelites, and they shall not be small. Why? Because one man shall have many. You're going to have average one man having 1,000 women. And we're going to have concubines too. So this is all going to happen. What's going to happen before the kingdom comes is Jacob's trouble. So Nate said, oh, there's no such thing as Jacob's trouble. You're just going to walk right out of here. No. Jacob's trouble got to come. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. So Esau, you're gonna really get it, and you other nations, but you ain't gonna get it as bad as Edomites. And Esau knows that he's Esau. He knows he's an Edomite. That's why he said, oh, the Edomites are done away with. No, oh, we don't know who the Edomites are. They're you, fool. 21st verse. We got a couple more verses. 4 verses to be exact. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governors shall, because it's going to be order in the kingdom. It's going to be a government. Shall proceed from the midst of them. And I will, and what comes to mind is Acts, not Acts, Isaiah 2 verse 2. Come and they will teach us of their ways. There ain't going to be no homosexual, ain't going to be, what's this guy, Kathy Jenner. Ain't going to be no Kathy Jenner. That motherfucker going to be dead. All you trans genders, you hermaphrodites, you moles, that's not going to be in the kingdom. You will be done away with. And I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engaged his heart to approach unto me, saith Yahawah? And ye shall be my people. Who's the Most High talking about? Or talking to? The Israelites. Those are the people, man. Ain't no such thing as no goddamn supersessionism and replacement theology. And I will be your power. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh. That's the ships. You can read Isaiah 66 verse 15 of Yahawah goeth forth with fury, because the whirlwinds are coming to shoot lasers to destroy this place. A continuing whirlwind, it shall fall with pain upon the head of the Edomites, the wicked. It said, it shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intent of his heart. In the latter days, we're in the latter days, ye shall consider it. So if you can't see that there's no such thing as Jacob's trouble, but then you a goddamn fool.